Really, the relationship between police and the community and the use of deadly force continues to dominate the national conversation. Recently, Stephen wrote about the death of Eric Garner in New York, the need for police to value all lives all the time. Stephen, I am always curious when you write something like that, what kind of response have you been getting?
Stay out of the comments, right? That's my
wait a minute.
advice.
Do you read the comment section? Or no?
I actually do read the comments. I read the comments on every column that I write and everything that we publish on the editorial page, because I feel like that's my job. I don't always respond, and I think we've reached a point where discourse, digital discourse, I think has reached a level of antipathy and viciousness that I think doesn't warrant always a decent response. But I do try to respond to the people who are actually trying to engage in a discussion or asking questions, legitimate questions about something that I've said. But you know, that column got hundreds of comments, and a lot of them were not, I think, a lot of them were not appropriate for the level of discourse that we are trying to establish.
I think it's interesting that you say that, because years ago, when people could finally no longer hide behind an anonymous login, you changed it so it had to be with the Facebook. So you had to have a name and an identity to involve yourself into these conversations. Nolan, are you finding the same thing? I think this is very interesting.
We thought that sort of removing the veil of anonymity would create a more civil discourse on our website and on our comments. Just the opposite's true. Facebook, it may be the foulest place you can have a conversation. People are just completely lost any courtesy, civility, politeness. You have a whole lot of people on Facebook just feel free to behave like jerks.
Yeah, and you know, and I think the shame of it is, I always say, it is a minority, right? If you look at how many page views that column got, or how many recommends it got on Facebook, it grossly outnumbers the negative or awful comments. But the comments are what sort of stand out. I mean, they're there, and you know, we don't delete things that are not that don't have expletives and things. I think people should be able to express themselves, even when they're making themselves look awful.
I mean, here's how it usually plays out. You know, the first 2 or 3 columns or comments, oh, I love what you wrote. The next, oh, you're an idiot, I hate what you wrote. And then they start fighting with each other. And about 12, 14 columns in, it's not about you anymore at all. They're calling each other names. You don't even know what.
And then there's usually a login saying, I can make $12,000 a month at home for this job. But let me get back to your column real quick before we leave this topic of conversation. Do you find that more people are engaging in the conversation about excessive force, and if excessive force from police is ever warranted in a situation?
Well, I mean, I think everyone's attention is on it. When I talked to Kevin Orr last week for his exit interview for American Black Journal, after the interview was over, he and I sat and talked for about 20 minutes about the attention that he and I have on our children, middle-class kids, African-American kids growing up in the United States, supposedly in an environment where they should be past the point where race matters, and of course they're not. And the fear that you know, is sort of welling up in middle-class African-Americans about that. I was really moved by the idea that you know, Kevin Orr, who I think is sort of the prototype of black economic success in this country, is as concerned as somebody who lives in a bad neighborhood in Detroit about this problem. And so yeah, it's becoming universal. More and more people are paying attention. More and more people feel like they need to be involved. And I think that's how we'll get to some of the practical solutions that need to be.
But look at the different reaction to Garner compared to Brown and Ferguson. The difference was it was on videotape. You knew exactly what happened. And you have almost universal condemnation of what happened on Staten Island, and still a lot of confusion about what happened in Ferguson.
Which also brings the question of body cameras and the integrity of those as well.